Yo, ladies and gentlemen, it's another episode of Rellism. It's your boy, it's your brother, it's your big homie. It is Rello. And today we have a very special guest in the building. We got one of the Wichita pioneers, one of the OGs in the game. We got Twansac himself in the building. How's it going, sir?
What it do? What it do, man? Glad to be here, bro.
How's it feel to be back in Wichita?
Man, I love Wichita, man. You know, it's just the home. Every time I come home, I'm able to reboot from the fast life out on the West Coast, man. You know, and it makes me remember where I come from.
As soon as you touch down, you know exactly where you want to go. You know exactly how to get there still. Like, Wichita is one of them cities you don't forget the routes.
Yeah, I drove through all my childhood neighborhoods, and it's funny because I grew up on both the north and the south side, so I go hit all the blocks where I used to hang out at, and it just, it's
North side don't look the same, do it?
Man, they rebuild, but it's good though.
Yeah.
They rebuilding it, so that's good. I grew up on 15th in Kansas, which back then was pretty raggedy, whatnot. But they didn't re-upgrade that, and rebuilt it. So
Yeah, they done remodeled some of those homes and stuff. You seen that they got those tall ass poles in the hood though?
yeah,
Have you seen
what's
that?
The pole for the police.
Well, it's those big poles that they have. It's basically from what we told from West Star,
Yeah,
and they just put these big towers just in the middle of the hood, like just lined them up, and it's like in people's front yards and everything, and it's dropped the pricing of people's homes in the community.
see, they did that on purpose.
They did that on purpose.
Man, that's crazy. But I did see that, and I was like, I thought that was just like the new electricity or the new.
See, I got a theory that they're trying to expand Wichita State.
Yeah,
And ain't nothing wrong with that because, the bigger the school is, the more money Wichita brings in. So ain't nothing wrong with that. But at least give it a fair chance for those, those older people in those neighborhoods that have been living there for 50-something plus years.
it's gentrification, man.
To the fullest.
Yeah.
To the fullest. I mean, you're going to decrease the rate of the house. Then you're going to kick them on out, because you're going to give them whatever, the smallest amount that they'll take. And then you're going to do whatever you want. This is going to turn 6 or 5 houses into a parking lot?
And they'll make that money back and.
Are they going to flip?
Yeah, and that's
flip.
why I had much love and respect for my partner Nipsey.
Yeah.
Because he was combating all of that. And I think even here in a lot of places we just lack a lot of knowledge of what's really. It's either we don't care what's going on, or we just really lack the knowledge of what's really happening.
A lot of time I feel like people can't accept the truth. A lot of people, the truth hurts, and people don't want to hurt because we've already hurt enough. So for a lot of time, they live with like a sheer coat, over them.
Right.
In a way, so they don't have to face, reality. Because It's like, my grandfather, worked out at Spirit Boeing or whatever for 40-something years. My daddy's working there right now for 20-something years. Well, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to end up doing the same thing. It's
Damn
like,
right.
That's what they expected.
That's real right there.
But we're not going to talk too much about that. We're going to get more into Twansac, the person. So how is Twansac mentally? How are you doing? This is me checking on you.
Yeah. I mean, I think after, I took a few blows here in the last 6 months, with my pops passing.
And we apologize. Sorry to hear that. We all praying for you.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
You and the family.
And I had a case that came across my lap that I ended up getting dropped, whatnot. And
praise be to God.
Yeah, man, and that's the thing is like once you go through those struggles and you make it out of, there's always a blessing waiting for you. And mentally right now, it's probably the best time of my life as far as career, everything that's going
dope.
around, with me. I've been linked up with him for a while, but Jay White. Jay White has been my producer probably for the last 10 years. He produced Bodak Yellow and all of Cardi B's top tracks or whatnot.
So y'all finally linked back up, that contact connection where it came back.
Yeah, it wasn't really that we had it. We never, we was already linked up. It's just when he took off, a lot of my stuff that was linked to his took off or whatnot. You know what I'm saying? Like
it's always good.
It's and that part, I miss that I had to leave Wichita because this is my home. It's just Wichita wasn't big enough to support, the vision and the long-term process of really being independent or whatnot.
Was that the sole purpose for you, to get out of Wichita? You saw a bigger vision for yourself and felt like, it was just you outgrown the situation?
Yeah, Wichita was like a love-hate situation. They build you up and then they try and tear you
Knock you
down.
down.
You know,
Yep.
and it got to the point where Old Town wouldn't. Every time I go out, there was a fight. My name came up, so I started getting 86 from all my little ways of making money. The record stores was booming like crazy, and then Sam Goody, all those warehouse music, they all went bankrupt.
Oh, okay.
So all of
Okay.
my outlets to make music and make money,
It bailed out. It wasn't there.
it wasn't there.
So,
So
had
I
to
had
go
really
ahead and
no
make a
choice.
plan B for yourself.
Yeah,
Okay.
and it happened. I was, it was '03 here when I opened up for DMX and Ludacris. I don't know if you remember that concert. It was,
Who else can say that though?
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
how many people can say like, "Yo, I opened up for DMX and Ludacris"?
yeah, yeah. I mean, it was just timing.
Man,
It was just timing.
I better
bro.
get this man as far as when he was deserving.
Yeah, that was a great concert. Fabulous, Chingy, all those guys were on there. But that song Cadillac Love, it was at that time it was the biggest song in the Midwest.
Yeah,
you
most
know,
definitely.
and whatnot.
Most
so,
definitely.
And the advantage is there weren't a lot of acts or artists coming through that time. And they were still bringing big shows through.
Yeah.
So I had the opportunity to be able to open up for those shows and actually get paid. And
So I wasn't finna turn this down. Like I'm taking it.
yeah.
Yeah,
You
like
know?
I got the hottest song in the city right now. Like, there's nobody else that deserve that spot but me.
And even those politics I still had to compete to get on some of the shows, which was cool.
As
I
always.
understood it. And it was actually with DMX. They had me pick him up from the airport.
That's hard.
And I was asking this guy, I was like, man, what you got going? Like, really trying to get on with X. I was a big fan of X. And this dude was like, man, I live in Phoenix, man. I was like, what the fuck you doing in Phoenix?
That's where that seed was
That's
planted.
where it came from.
DMX.
Yeah. And he was doing that movie Never Die Alone. So I went out there right after the show, went out there and said, I met a little chick. I said, groundwork laid down. One more time, I just never came back home.
That was the final decision.
That was it.
That's dope. That's dope. So, like, okay, we mentioned Cadillac Love, and no disrespect to any OGs or anything like that, because I know that there were artists before Twansac
Correct.
that had successful careers as far as in Wichita. But for my generation, you were the first local artist that I heard on the radio.
Right.
How does that feel to know like there's a generation out here that when they ask, they be like, "Yo, who's one of the OG rappers?" They be like, "Well, shit, back in the day, like Twansac was that dude." Like everybody remembers that song.
I mean, it's a God gift blessing, and that's why I don't stop to this day. You know what I'm saying? Because if I stop today, then I let back. One thing you'll always remember is those first early years.
Mm-hmm.
You'll remember when you didn't know nothing about I didn't know about the business, and to know that it was the work ethic that actually, put us in that position, and still to this day, like, those kids now. So what it's did is it by me standing independent, now those kids are now my fans. So it's like I got a brand new fresh, my career just started all over again.
Yeah, it's a rebrand all over again. My brother-in-law, he works out at the Manhattan radio station, and he actually played Cadillac Love for a throwback.
No shit.
Out of K-State.
Oh, that's
so I
dope.
was like, yeah, like there's a whole generation that they're like, yo, Twansac, what's that shit?
Yeah.
Now, how the hell you get that song sampled? Like, was there a clearance that you had to go through back then or anything?
We remade it. We didn't use no samples at all. We just basically took if you listen to the original, it's a little bit faster.
Mm-hmm.
So Skills, like I was mentioning earlier, Skills and D. Bray and FC Trill at the time were only cats that knew how to make beats. So I had bought a brand new keyboard. I played it for Skills, and he just basically mimicked it, added a little flavor to it, and so I didn't have to get any sample clearance rights to it, that was the big part about it.
That's dope.
Yeah.
You mentioned SC Trill. How does it feel to see what SC Trill's doing for himself right now? Well, as far as his Team Global Hustle.
Man, I'm proud of Trill and Krim. They stayed
Shout
down.
out to Krim as well.
Tech Nine once told me that because I had you all know that it was a time where I had a record deal from every major record label. They were offering me deals, and I remember sitting on a tour bus with Tech, and he said, "I advise you to go independent. Just know it's gonna take 10 years." And so anybody like the SC Trills, SC Trill is from my era. He started the same time I started. So even though he's a lot younger, he's still from our era.
Yeah.
And I think that era we were hungry.
Yeah, and he saw that.
Yeah.
And if you see that at your beginning, then it's just gonna grow.
Yeah.
The older you get.
Yeah, I remember my keyboard. I gave it to him. I didn't even know how to fucking work the keyboard, and I knew SC and Devon knew how to, so I used to let them hold the keyboard.
Hey, little niggas, go ahead and
Yeah,
get
go ahead. You know, and without those guys, man, I might not even been able to drop any music, any albums.
That's dope.
In the early days, you know. So it's like being big bro, being proud of SC.
Yeah.
You know, and he's continued to
Just
grow,
want the best for him.
continue to network, and once you find out, you'll see that once you really get into the industry, it's really small. You know, so some of the guys in the Bay Area that I f- with, SC has tracks from, and then I just get happy.
SC Trill be moving.
Yeah, I get excited every time. You know, Mr. Fab, you know, Beta Weeda, some of these guys that, you know, is some of my favorites, and I'm like, that's a SC
All the
Trill
way out
beat.
there, all the way out there in the Bay.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's hard.
yeah.
So, where did the name Twansac come from?
Antoine is my real name, and
Got
you
you.
know, back in the, I would say the late '90s, I was the guy that had the sax. You know, you can call me
Got
at
you.
any time, and Twan always had a sack. You know, so that's
Can't
where
be more honest than that.
I do it two ways. Like if I'm on an interview, like say with the radio, like 93.9, I tell them that the SAC stands for Succeeds All Challenges. But we all know that I got my name from hustling.
And the streets know.
Yeah.
Everybody know.
yeah.
That's dope.
Yeah.
That's dope. One of the originators, one of the OGs. Who are some local folks that you rock with that you see up and coming right now?
I think I'm a super fan of 8-0. 8-0 has it. His delivery, his topics, everything he talks about, it has what I could say can be heard outside of Wichita.
He's got that sound.
Yeah,
he's it's not that he's figured that something out or it's just him. He does it organic.
Yeah, I think he just got it naturally.
Yeah.
You know, and it's kind of like if you remember Sir Courts, you know, Cider Hussein, he was one of my favorite rappers, you know, and I was like, I don't know anybody that's going to ever be able to top him. And I hear 8-0, and it reminds me of a young Courts. His effort just more developed, you know. And then another guy that I think has to take it on a worldly platform is Plainview.
Yeah.
I don't know if you heard of
Plainview's been in the house.
Yeah.
We mess with Plainview over here.
Yeah, Plainview can go into a lane. You know, the Asian market is a big market, and they don't really have a lot of artists, you know, and he has the type of music that if you can market him right towards that fan base, he might be able to go overseas and blow up.
Yeah, he's got the homie Tevin managing him right now, and Tevin's got the right idea.
Yeah.
He's got the right idea, and they've been out there in Cali a lot more lately.
Yeah.
So they're trying to expand a little bit. I think
saw
they
that.
got.
Yeah, I reached out to actually Plainview. I was at I work with Empire, a lot of Empires out of San Francisco or whatnot, and I said, man, give me your record, give me your album as soon as you get done, and let's sit down and talk about getting you a deal. Like I firmly believe in those two. YBM Smooth, he's dope. Crim is moving. Got with Scott Storch, you know, that's a good look.
Yeah.
You know, and the thing about like me comparing the Midwest to the West Coast is lazy. They have everything. They have all the plugs
In the
around
palm of
them,
their hands.
but they don't know how to use them. Whereas if we come from no plugs and we like got all the plugs,
We hungry.
we finna to get to it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
If
saying?
you give us all the tools and equipment, we'll figure it
It's
out.
game over.
We'll show you what it is.
Yeah.
That's that Midwest work ethic that we got.
Yeah.
But what's the difference that you've seen between Arizona and Kansas?
Arizona's slow. It's
That's really it.
like a town. You know, it's the 5th largest city, which is 7 million people there. That's the gold mine. The gold mine is you can hustle there, and it might take you 5 years before you even see the same person twice. You know what I'm saying? And as far as like when I got there, nobody had I had a rap van. Nobody had retail ready packaging. No, nothing. Like they were that far behind. You know what I'm saying? So it kind of worked out.
They're not taking advantage of what they had.
I don't think they even really had anybody from there that ever really made it out of there. So these guys just was kind of just they low budget, not people really believing in themselves. Like Wichita, we believe in. We gonna go, we gonna have a package. We ain't gonna be writing on the CDR and all that. But they don't do that. They catching on now, but kind of how they say I'm a pioneer in Wichita is starting to be the same in Phoenix.
Because you came in and you had this, you were doing this, and they peeped game. They had to catch on eventually.
Yeah. And most artists, they're not business. They're and there's nothing wrong with that. Most artists are artistic, whereas me, I'm business first and artistic secondly. And that's what the real. In order to sustain and make money in this industry, you have to know the business.
What all do you dibble and dabble as far as like you got multiple hats that you wear out there in Arizona? You're not just the artist. What are some other things that they might catch Twansac working on?
Man, I do a lot, bro. I got a screen print and embroidery shop that I own, so I do a lot of the marketing, like T-shirt wise for all the artists, some of the big companies.
I seen a couple stickers that you had made for a car.
Yeah,
a couple cars.
Yeah, I do vehicle wraps.
Yeah,
that I do that. I'm also, I would say, a concert promoter / booking agent.
Okay.
So, based off my relationships in the industry for the last 15 years, I work with a lot of the big venues and help them book their shows, and then help them also promote it. And that's the good thing for being connected with the streets is, my following isn't just from music; it's from concert promotion and just bringing, different
the ones out there in the mud.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Arizona is a big ass town, but they didn't really have a lot of the hip hop culture.
Gotcha.
So I'm able to eat off of that. Consultation, I do a lot of consultation with artists, show them how to do their copyrights, show them how to get their ASCAPs together, the whole nine.
Just giving game.
Just give them free game.
I see that Nipsey in you.
Yeah,
I see you. Like it ain't about like just me. It's like if you can pass some shit on, like that's what you for.
Yeah, man. I met Nipsey probably about. Been knowing Nipsey almost 15, and that's what I liked about Nipsey, because we can get high and it wasn't talking about let's go get in the lab. Like we was really talking about like taking business and coming back to our communities and helping. That's the greatest thing. Like one of his favorite quotes, the greatest thing is to inspire. And that's really what my journey has been. Is just using myself almost as a pawn to show people, hey, long as you stay down, you invest, you bet on yourself, it may take them out, it might happen overnight, but it will happen. So that's kind of where I'm in that position. It's like Big Brother's ready to get back. I got connections, core DJs. I do all the, shout out to DJ 3 because he turned me on to Tony, which, Tony's the CEO of the core DJs.
I was going to ask you how that relationship came about. How did y'all link up?
3, me and it's a wild story, but back then, Mac Payne, he had just came from Kansas City. Mac Payne introduced DJ 3 to the core. And when I was getting on the radio play, Mac Payne basically was trying to block me. Or at least that's what was told to me. He was trying to block my airtime so he could start running Kansas City Cats. So I put a diss track out on Mac Payne back then, and it kind of fucked the relationship up between me and 3. I didn't know the core was that big. You know what I'm saying? And 3 just happened to call me about 2 years ago. He was like, man, we gonna squash all the bullshit. Let's bring the core retreat out there.
Okay.
And that's kind of how I got introduced to the core. And I was like, well, let's bring it out here. So Crank's Audio was a real big headphone maker. I got them to sponsor the retreat. They put up like $25,000 to bring the retreat there, and then
that's dope.
That's how my relationship started with the core.
That's dope.
Yeah,
that's dope. DJ 3 is he's an OG in the game because he's been doing this for years, and he's still at every club. He's still getting booked. He's still getting booked for radio. He still knows the new music that they want to hear at the club. Like, he has that ear. What are some lessons that you've learned from DJ 3 over the years?
DJ 3 turned me on to the club promotion side of it. because I was already doing the concert side, and he turned me on to the club promo. So in essence, some of the artists they deal with, because being the core, they're able to get the artists at discount rates. So he started throwing me plays where it wasn't just about booking a concert. It was like, here, let's book these at the clubs. So once he started showing me the game on that, I started hitting all the clubs. Now all the clubs, I pretty much do all the booking for all the major clubs in in Phoenix. So that always keeps you in tune with the new generation. You always know what they doing.
see you out there.
They see you.
So then when this show comes, this big concert comes, they gonna with you because they saw you out here. Yeah.
And then even when you throw your own without no headliner and it's just you, they come with you because they know it's you. You're around celebrities all the time.
Most definitely.